The Ugly Vegetables by Grace Lynn. This is the cover of the book. I see two people in a garden full of squash. Maybe that's her mom. Let's see. Here's the first page. Maybe this is her house. It looks like a neighborhood. In the spring, I helped my mother start our garden. We used tall shovels to turn the grass upside down. I saw some pink worms wiggle around. It was hard work. When we stopped to rest, we saw that the neighbors were starting their gardens too. "Hello, Irma," my mother called to Mrs. Crewmarine. Mrs. Crewmarine was digging too. She was using a small shovel, one that fit in her hand. "Mom, why are we using such big shovels? Mrs. Crewmarine has a small one." Her mom told her, "'Cause our garden needs more digging." I helped my mother plant the seeds, and we dragged the hose to the garden. "Hi, Linda. Hi, Mickey," I called to the Fitzgeralds. They were sprinkling water on their garden with green watering cans. "Mom, why are we using a hose? Linda and Mickey use watering cans." "Because our garden needs more water," Mom told her. There they are saying hello to the neighbors, working on their gardens. Then my mom drew funny pictures on pieces of paper, and I stuck them into the ground. "Hello, Roseanne," my mom called across the street to Mrs. Angel Howe. "Mom, why are we sticking these papers in the garden? Mrs. Angel Howe has seed packages in her garden." "Well, because our garden is going to grow Chinese vegetables," she told me. "These are the names of the vegetables in Chinese, so I can tell which plants are growing where." Her mom speaks Chinese and English. One day I saw our garden growing. Little green stems that looked like grass had popped out from the ground. "Our garden's growing! Our garden is growing!" I rushed over to the neighbor's garden to see if theirs had grown. Their plants looked like little leaves. "Mom, why do our plants look like grass? The neighbor's plants look different." "Because they are growing flowers," she said. "Why can't we grow flowers?" I asked. "These are better than flowers." Soon all of the neighbors' gardens were blooming. Up and down the street grew rainbows of flowers. The wind always smelled sweet, and butterflies and bees flew everywhere. Everyone's garden was beautiful, except for ours. Our garden was all dark green and ugly. "Why didn't we grow flowers?" I asked again. "These are better than flowers," Mom said again. I looked, but only saw black, purple, green vines, fuzzy wrinkled leaves, prickly stems, and only a few little yellow flowers. "I don't think so," I said. "You wait and see," my mom told me. Before long, our vegetables grew. Some were big and lumpy. Some were thin and green and covered with bumps. Some were just plain icky yellow. These were ugly vegetables. Sometimes I would go over to the neighbor's house and look at their pretty gardens. They would show me the poppies and peonies and petunias, and I would feel sad that our garden wasn't as nice as their flower garden. One day my mom and I picked the vegetables from the garden. We filled a whole wheelbarrow full of them. We wheeled them to the kitchen. My mom washed them, took a big knife, and started to chop them. "Ay-yow," she said when she cut them. She had to use all of her muscles. The vegetables were hard and tough. "This is shao hugua," Mom said, handing me a bumpy, curled vegetable. She pointed at the other vegetables. This is shion kai. That's a tong hao. I went outside to play. While I was playing catch with Mickey, a magical aroma filled the air. I saw the neighbors standing on their porches with their eyes closed, smelling the sky. They took deep breaths of air like they were trying to eat the smell. The wind carried it up and down the street. Even the bees and butterflies seemed to smell the scent in the breeze. Wow. I smelled it too. It made me hungry, and it was coming from my house. When I followed the smell to my house, my mother was putting a big bowl of soup on the table. The soup was yellow and red and green and pink. "This is a special soup," Mom said, and she smiled. She gave me a small bowl full of it, and I tasted it. It was so good. The flavors of the soup seemed to dance in my mouth and laugh all the way down to my stomach. I smiled. "Do you like it?" my mom asked. I nodded and held out my bowl for some more. "It's made from our vegetables," she told me. Then the doorbell rang, and we ran to open the door. All of our neighbors were standing at the door holding flowers. "We noticed you were cooking," Mr. Fitzgerald laughed as he held out his flowers. "We thought maybe you might be interested in a trade." We laughed too, and my mother gave them each of their own bowl of special soup. My mom told them which vegetable was which and how she grew it. She gave them the soup recipe and put some soup into jars for them to take home. I ate 5 bowls of soup. It was the best dinner ever. The next spring, when my mom was starting her garden, we planted some flowers next to the Chinese vegetables. Mrs. Krummerine, the Fitzgeralds, and the Angel House planted some Chinese vegetables next to their flowers. Soon the whole neighborhood was growing Chinese vegetables in their gardens. Up and down the street, the little plants poked out of the ground. Some looked like leaves and some looked like grass, and when the flowers started blooming, you could smell soup in the air.